welcome back to episode two of what are we? Notes from the Nook,
From
a
the Nook.
writerly chat, and very exciting. We got to episode two, which everybody has that starting momentum energy. Whether you can keep going is another matter. So episode two,
Is the
we're
test.
it's the test.
We're
It's the
continuing the
test.
momentum. This is a great sign.
It's a great sign. It's a great sign. It's a great sign. Um, to begin. While I was watching the previous episode, we never once introduced ourselves.
No, no,
We
we
never
didn't.
we never once said our
Oh,
names.
no.
What we did talk about what we write and the projects we're working on and
Okay.
how we began on YouTube. Never once
Okay.
introduced ourselves. So I think we should start with
Wow.
that. And
What a great place to start.
I know. We dropped people right in the middle. And I guess we assumed that the first people who would see it would be people who'd seen us before and so would know our names. But,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully we will be finding some new people as well. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if you saw last episode and you were confused, comment, let us know.
Yeah, so
But
sorry.
so I am very sorry about that. What an oversight. But yes, my name is Danica Gray, not my real name. It is a pen name. And I used to have a YouTube channel that was somewhat active like 4 years ago. So I think we'll be pushing this out to all of our audiences. So you can find my old stuff there if you're interested in that at all. But yes, so I write fantasy largely. I've rolled through a couple of different projects, kind of as we talked about before. And right now I'm working on a high fantasy secondary world that I'm calling my fantasy forensic accounting story.
Which I am so
Should
excited
I,
about.
is that enough? Is there more
Yeah, no,
info?
I think that's fine. I think that covers the basis because we spent an entire 35-minute episode last time, uh, talking about what we write. So people know that in quite
Yes.
a lot of detail. Um, we just didn't cover the basics. So,
And what about you?
yes.
Who are you?
What who am I? My name is Lovis Gaia, also not my real name. It is a pen name. And that was quite funny when we met in real life and we each discovered the other person's real name. We were like, who is this? We saw it
Like,
on
this
like
is so weird to
the
call you
travel
this.
documents and we were like,
Yeah.
who this? And then yeah, it took me like 6 months to start calling you your other name, and now I have to switch
Yeah,
back.
I
It's a
know.
real flop. Anyway,
I
yes, I am Loviskaya, and I started my AuthorTube, BookTube, whatever it was, channel in 2020 as a way of keeping myself sane during that year and to as part of a project to replace my doom scrolling with reading. I needed to reintroduce reading into my life, and I did it by focusing on a genre called ecofiction, which is another thing. Last episode, you mentioned it, and I totally breezed
we didn't
past
define
telling
it.
people what it was. Terrible
Now's the
promotion
time.
skills.
Now's the
Now is the
time.
time. And we are rectifying. We are starting this episode by rectifying the previous one.
We're learning.
We're learning. Hey, this is unscripted, remember? And so yeah, so ecofiction, my definition of ecofiction, I'm sure there are many, is that it is fiction where nature and the environment and our relationship with it plays a major role in the plot. And I have found ecofiction across all genres. You can have it in sci-fi, in fantasy, in mystery, in romance, in contemporary, in literary. You can find it anywhere, all age categories as well, which means that it didn't actually narrow my reading at all. It broadened it. So now instead of saying I'm a fantasy reader, I now read every genre and every age category as well. So that has been a lot of fun. And my channel was book reviews for ecofiction. It was author interviews for authors who write ecofiction. It was me pretending that I was writing it a lot and actually not doing a lot of writing
Classic.
at all. Classic, I know. Which now I'm doing
We've
a
all
lot
been
more
there.
of, which is why No videos have been forthcoming. And anyway, yes, so Loviskaya, eco-fiction, fantasy mostly, but not I can definitely I have ideas for every genre and every age category. So you will be seeing lots of different stories from me. So now that we all know each other, we can actually move on with the episode.
Congratulations. Great to meet you. Introduce yourselves to us down in the comments if you
Yes,
so
please.
choose.
Yes,
Let's all get
please.
to know each other here
Yeah.
on episode 2.
If you're watching, let us know who you are, what you write, if you write, what you read, if you
Yeah.
like to read, and if neither of those are true, just a fun fact about you.
Yeah. We'd love to know.
We would truly love to know. Um, should we go to our first section of what are we drinking today?
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so today I have made myself a latte, which I'm trying to get better at. I have a little machine that I can use to make lattes, but I think I'm quite bad at it. So my struggle every morning is to try and figure out how to improve slightly. I do think I improved slightly on this one, so that's a win. And I recently tried making my first mocha syrup because I love mochas when I go to coffee shops. That's like my favorite drink, but it seems to be a hard syrup to make very well. And I tried it, and I think it's not half bad. So that's what I'm
Great.
drinking, my own mocha latte.
A not half bad mocha latte. I like it.
Exactly. Progress.
Very good. Progress indeed. Well, last time I said I should bring a pot of tea, and therefore, oh, it's quite
Incredible.
full. So I have my little pot in its little
Oh
tea
my gosh, and
cozy.
the cozy.
Isn't it cute?
The
It's got a
cozy's
little chicken on it.
adorable.
It's got a little chook on it.
Okay,
And
there is something about chickens and teapots that just goes perfectly together.
it's cottagecore, I think. Yeah.
That makes
It's
sense.
that, cozy cottage, gotta have some chooks. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that tea cozy my partner's mum gave me. So thank you very much.
So sweet.
And so I use it every day. And then this little, okay, this is so silly for people who are listening and not watching, but I've got this little this perfectly sized little teacup that my sister gave me, and the handle is like a whale tail inside. I'll try and show you
Oh,
without tipping
oh
tea
my
all over
gosh, that's
myself.
so
Yeah.
cool.
So thanks to my
I
sister.
love
So
that.
like it was a team effort to put this tea together. But I am drinking the same green tea as last time because it's kind of my go-to at the moment. But I have my pot, so I will not run out of tea on this episode of
And
of
that
Notes from the Nook.
that is very important. That is very. I will say this mug is from a designer, like a mug designer that I found who I really loved, whose name is Danica. Danica Studios is the name of the place. Makes a lot of beautiful houseware, but also mugs. And when I first found her, I was like, oh my gosh, it's fate. Danica, Danica. And so I got
Yeah,
my first Danica Studios mug, and then I found this one again on actually a trip to Vancouver, which is what that poster is from. And so this is like one of my writing mugs.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well,
So
since we
auspicious.
last chatted, what are your updates? Have you been writing? Have you been managing to write?
Yes, I have.
Great.
I am in a stage where I think I mentioned last time that I was working on the project, I paused, I've been going back into brainstorming. And I'm at a place where it's almost like I am making forward progress pretty much every day. And usually I try and create like a structure for myself. So I say, oh, this is the piece I'm working on. And I want to finish this thing by like a week from now or 2 weeks from now or whatever. And I'm going to work on it, half hour a day or whatever it is. But I found that doing that has started to make me really stressed out. So I've started trying to just lose myself in what I'm doing each day instead of thinking in the broader context, like, what precisely am I building up to? And so what it has meant is that I'm sort of like plot gardening, I would say. I have like a long document and I've been world building. And in the process of world building, my brain is doing a great job of taking an idea and then bending it all the way back around into the story. And by the end of each section of like little piece of the world, I have like a really good idea of how it's going to fit into the story, which is great. And then I move on to the next thing. But I have no idea how far through it I am. Like, how many more of these do I need to do? I keep coming up with ideas for little sections I want to write. So I think this place I'm at is I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this until I feel like I've run out and there's like no more. And then I'm going to go
Yes.
scrape all the way back through and start pulling in all of the story ideas that I've had. And then like put it back together. Because the reason I stopped drafting was I needed to replot. the rest of it, but part of the reason I hadn't ever plotted the rest of it in the detail I wanted is that I just didn't know enough details about the world. So this is indirectly helpful. I just haven't drawn like a super straight and narrow line between where I am and where I'm going, which is a little bit uncomfortable for me, but I think it's good because it's allowing me to really play and be creative. And I'm really liking what I'm coming up with. So I guess plot
Nice.
gardening is what I would call what I am working on and have been able to like keep making progress on.
That sounds great though. It sounds like you're like creating the puzzle pieces and then eventually you'll see how they all fit together. But you have to have the puzzle
Yes.
pieces first to be able to create a whole picture. Um,
Yes.
and I like the image of you just like planting little seeds and being like, we'll see what this grows into. It's
We'll see
fine.
if that one grows. Yeah, we'll find out. And I do find that I get very overwhelmed, particularly with world building, but I also need the world to be built because I'm
The
very
world does need to
much,
be built, unfortunately.
yeah, I have to have set pieces because otherwise I get super like stressed out if there's too many unknowns. So I have to start like eliminating unknowns systematically in order to like start being creative with the story itself. But it's always been a challenge for me to figure out, and I think maybe for a lot of people, like which puzzle piece do you start with? Everything's interconnected. So which one are you going to
Yeah.
start building on? And I've really struggled with that in many projects. I really like what I'm currently doing. I think it works uniquely well for this project. I know every project is going to be different, but like picking little items, because I know I want the city to be extremely cool. And so I'm like, well, what makes a cool city? And then coming up with cool little bits and then being able to just anchor and write like a Wikipedia page, like improv from there.
Yeah.
Like I have to improv from a specific moment. I can't go big to small. I have to go small to big, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it totally does. And I think one of my issues, if you recall from the previous episode, I am in draft six or something, is that I started with the wrong
Mhm.
puzzle piece. I think or I
Yeah.
hadn't, I didn't create enough puzzle pieces to
Mm.
build like an interesting picture or one that fit together properly. It was like pieces were kind of not quite fitting, and I was like, wow, whatever, I'll make them fit in the next round. But it
Mhm.
just didn't, it never happened. And
Yeah.
so I think I have learned the importance of certain puzzle pieces to make sure that
Yeah.
I create them properly. Because otherwise, the things just don't fit together. And I've got four different puzzles merged that don't belong, and I have
Yeah.
to sort them all out. So I think it's a very good thing that you're spending time creating your puzzle pieces, and then comes the fun part where you try and fit them all together.
Try and fit them together. I know. I mean, it's all easy to say right now because there's basically no restrictions. So it's like, oh, things are going great, you know? But I could very easily wind up in a very similar situation. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But right now, smooth sailing. So we got to be
Right.
grateful for that at least.
Yeah. Have you
What
have
about
you
you?
gone
What you been
to
up to?
any or well, before I answer that, have you gone to any more of your in-person meetings? Meetups?
Yes, I have. I've gone
Oh,
to a few
good.
more. Some with the writing group that I was already doing somewhat regularly, and then at least one more with, I guess, strangers, if you will. And it is so fun, I will
Oh,
say, to
good.
meet people and write alongside them. It's very anxiety producing for those of us who have social anxiety. But I always leave and I'm like, I'm really glad I pushed myself to do that. And there really is a certain energy, even if you don't talk to a ton of people, maybe you talk to one or so, just having a group of people all tip tapping, it really is a lovely energy. Just like doing writing sprints online, it is really nice doing them in person too. It's very motivational. So
Good.
I'm glad that I'm doing it. I'm going to keep trying to do it. I have been pretty busy in the last week or so. And I will be pretty busy for the next few weeks. So I don't know the next time I'll get to one. But I'd like it to be a somewhat regular part of my writing practice. It's like trying to
Yeah.
get out there and find a good place to write with people.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I will answer your question. Yes, writing has been good. I'm still not done with this bloody draft. Oh,
Where
so
are you?
I'm I'm making very good progress. Like if people are familiar with kind of general plot structure, um I've written The Dark Moment, which is about 75% of the way through, which
Yeah.
I'm very happy about, and I've written
Big.
some because I've got two perspectives in my book. Each of them needs like a dark moment and like the aha moment, the realization that lets them overcome
Mhm,
the big
mhm,
obstacle at the climax. Um,
mhm,
so I've kind of written one set and the other one I just have to link. Like I've got pieces from previous draft and I need to link them together. So I'm
mhm.
almost done with the second aha moment, which is actually like 80% ish. So now I'm on the run up to the climax and the resolution. And from my outline, there are a few chapters that need kind of heavy editing, a few completely new chapters, and a few that are like light edits. So it's a mix of things. So it's kind of hard to know how long it'll take me. If I am not done with this draft by the end of July, I'm just going to curl up in a ball and cry. I cannot stay in this book any longer than like I gotta get
You
out.
need a break.
I do. I need a break because it's so intense. But
Mhm.
I am making progress. I am sticking to, writing every day and making like it does feel like I'm getting there. It's good. But wow, do I need a break from this uh particular project. And I have other projects that are
Yeah.
waiting. Like I have people who are waiting on the other projects that I really need to get to. And my partner
Yeah.
keeps asking me, he's like, "Have you written any of those like short stories that from the workshop last summer?" And I was like, "No, I haven't. I've just been stuck in this revision hole." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Aren't people waiting for that?" I'm like, "Yes, yes they are. I know. I'm aware."
Don't bring it up.
Of course, it is helpful not to just be, their accountability is good, but also I cannot make my brain do anything other than what I'm doing right now. It is so deep in
Yeah.
this revision that
Yeah.
it cannot do anything else, except apparently to pester me with shiny new ideas. Ugh.
I feel like that's when the brain strikes. Whenever you're feeling like a slight wane in motivation and
Yeah, when
exhaustion
there's
with a
resistance.
concept.
Yeah. When there's
Yes.
resistance, it's just
Yes.
like, oh, this is hard. Why don't we go over here where it's
Yeah.
lovely and you're
Easier.
in the fun stage of brainstorming where, like you say,
Yeah.
there are no restrictions and you don't have to think about plot structure yet. And you don't have to think about character arc yet because you're going to figure it all out. And now is just the idea generation time. And it's lovely over here. And you're like, yeah, but if I leave now, I will never come back. I have to finish this
Yeah.
book. I have to.
Yeah. 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 Have you found that any parts of it are like harder or taking longer, like in this end portion than you thought it would, or is it just like this is the amount of time that you thought you would need, and this is what it's taken?
Hmm. Well, it's taking longer than I thought because I thought I would be done by the end of June, but I have had a realization, which was that I think I mentioned last time about pinch points and that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have them in my outline originally or in any of my previous
Mm-hmm.
drafts. And now I have them. But I realized that what I had as a pinch point and what I had as a dark moment, which is like this all is lost, rock bottom, and then they have
Mm-hmm.
to hit that before they can realize the thing they need to realize to beat the big bad. Um, and I needed to switch those two because the dark moment, I think the realization I had, at least for the book that I'm writing, and for I think kind of character driven narratives, is that that really has to be tied to character, and that the character,
Yeah.
the arc of the character that is driving the story, their dark moment, it really needs to be brought about by something that they've done because of their particular characteristics, character arc, their history, their misbelief, um, the lesson they need to learn. It needs to have brought them to that point so that they can realize something to get them out of that point. Whereas the pinch point for me is more plot related, so it's where the bad guys kind of show them the obstacle that they present. And so it's much more that the bad guys up the stakes,
Mhm.
which is more plot and less character. I mean, it can also be very character driven, but in the way that I'm um, understanding it right now is that way. And I had them swapped. And
Mm.
therefore, as I was writing the pinch point, it was naturally leading into like an aha moment. And I was like, this is not where you're supposed to go. Why, why is what's happening at before even the dark? This doesn't make any sense. And then I realized it was because I had those two things switched. So
Got it.
I did have a little bit of time lost as I was
To
rejiggering
move that around.
those two
Got it.
things because they had consequences that I then had to figure out
Yeah.
where other things fit. So I did have to rejigger act the end of Act 3, beginning Act 4,
Yeah.
uh, because I use a 4 act structure. Um, and yeah, so that lost me a little bit of time. But now we're back on, well, I mean, we're moving again. We're back on we're back on track, I guess. Not time-wise, but anyway. And I really, really, God, I really hope that in the next few weeks I will have a draft of this book
Yeah.
because otherwise I might lose it.
Yeah. But I will say, what a great realization to have while you're still kind of in it. Because that probably would have been like another round of edits just to fix that, at least at the ending.
Imagine
If you
if
hadn't
I'd been reading
realized.
it thinking
Yeah.
I was done and then
Yes.
came across and I was like, this doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. And that does
I
sound
would
like
have to
a
rejigger.
great improvement, honestly, um, for the
Yeah,
initial
and I
arc.
think those kinds of realizations are happening quite a lot with this particular draft because I'm
Mm.
focusing so much more on character arc. So before when
Mm.
I said my puzzle, I was focusing on the wrong puzzle piece for the previous drafts. It was missing character arc. It was
Mm.
plot focused, it was magic system focused, which
Mm.
was my in. This was why I wrote the story was to explore the magic system. It's what I'm nerdy about. Uh, and I totally kind of forgot that character arc was necessary.
I'll tell you, I'm scared. I'm scared of character arc. Character arc is definitely of the main character. I am so schizophrenic on sorry, I don't need to use that. I mean, I am not decisive at all about what I want this character's like personality and flaw to be. Like I've rotated through several different like sort of casts of how this character could interact in the world. And I have to pick one and I have to have the arc and it all has to build towards it. So even as I'm building these puzzle pieces, I'm like, well, this one kind of works better if she's like this, and this one works better if she's like that. It's like, well, we have to pick one. We have to move everything
Yeah.
in that direction. So I can see that I
Because they
might
have
have some problems with that
consequences.
too. Yes, it's all gonna have
They have
consequences.
consequences. And
Yes.
you pick one. This was my problem because I was trying to I then tried to shoehorn one in
Yeah.
and the plot didn't or the actions of the characters didn't work anymore because
Yeah.
the character with this particular arc wouldn't act in that particular way. And it
Yeah.
just no end of issues. So, my goodness. Yeah. You
Yeah.
do have to pick
So
one. But I
I
think
know you're kicking me in the butt to
if
figure this out.
I'm sorry.
I know it's
I
good.
don't mean to kick you in the butt.
It's
But
good.
while you're gardening, while you're plot gardening and you're
Sure.
planting all these little seeds for character arc potentials, just bear in mind, like, please do me a favor and pick one and
Pick one.
like work it out. I know that you know, there's plotters, there's pantsers, or however you want to identify, and there's a spectrum in between. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to outline. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying not thinking about the character arc ahead
Mhm.
of writing left me needing to rewrite the book many times.
Yeah.
And I wish I had done at least that work because from that you get so much information about the plot that you don't
Mhm.
need the outline, but to know maybe the main beats of your character arc, I think gives such a useful headlights in the dark kind of aid
Yeah.
while you're navigating. And it's probably my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah. Oh, good advice. Very good advice. I will add that into one of my next few sections of plot gardening is starting to play around with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah.
But what amazing progress. And I believe in you. And
Thanks.
I think it's gonna be done. I think it's gonna be done in July. Cheering you on.
Fingers crossed because I might, if we'll put something in the calendar for episode 3, and if I don't show up, it's probably because I've become a puddle on the floor and I'm just in denial about finishing this draft.
It's okay. We'll resurrect you, pull you across
Thank
the
you.
finish line.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the next section, we can pick up on one of the many ideas that we kind of came up with in the last episode. And this one was one that we kind of have different perspectives on, where I have and what I've talked about, those struggles that I've had lead us nicely into this topic, because I have stuck with one project for several years and written several drafts in order to make it what I think it can be and to become a better writer in the process. Whereas you have become a better writer by knowing when a project needs to be set aside and jumping to a new project that maybe is completely different or plays to your strengths at that time and uh and therefore gets you where you need to go, but in a very different manner. So I don't know if you had thoughts to kick us off on that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will say, first and foremost, I think the way that you have approached like having consistency in your writing and sort of tenacity with the project is really excellent. Something I admire, something I very much hope to have in the future. And also, I will say, like, I read a lot of writing craft books, and I'm listening to everybody on AuthorTube, and I'm always consuming like what different authors at different levels of success say like really worked for them. And a large majority of them do say to take the approach that you have taken. So, I don't know that I can say yet that like what I have done has been for the better or for the worse. But I do feel, at least in this moment, like the choices I made were good, and I'll tell you why. But time will tell. We'll see. Maybe later on, I'll be like, oh man, I wasted a ton of time jumping around, which I think would be perfectly valid. But so for me, the reason I made each decision I made, I do think part of my jumping from project to project was succumbing to shiny new idea. Like there's some percentage of it that I think that that's true. Like I reached difficult moments in the story, and at least some amount of the motivation was like, oh gosh, this is really hard. But at the same time, I do think I have learned a lot from each story I have started and not completely finished. And each
Yes.
one I have started from a new place. So it's not the case that I dropped it before I figured anything out, if that makes any sense. I wrestled with a
Yeah.
lot of these for a while. And I think I now, having gone through several stories that I have picked up and set aside, and I would say none of them are totally dead. I actually fully still intend to write all of those stories. I think they all are still very interesting to me many years later, which
Mm-hmm.
says something. So that's good. Um,
100%.
Yes. But I think as a writer, maybe one of my core struggles has always been coming up with ideas. Like I really am the opposite of an ideas guy. I am not running around here
Interesting.
with 80 different concepts of things I want to write. And even when I get into a story, I get really deer in the headlights by the blank page. And I have historically chosen to write fantasy where you have to make a million choices. Like maybe my flaw as a person is that I'm not super decisive. And so walking into all these situations where you have to make just a ton of decisions, I have always struggled with that. Because there's this part of my brain that's like, oh, but what if this is the wrong choice? What if this is like a bad choice for the world or it's not going to work? When like in truth, any choice is probably perfectly fine. They're all equally fine. They just take you in a different direction, and that could be good too. So I think my lack of decisiveness has been my flaw that has driven me to this style of jumping from project to project. But I think when I look back on each of them, most of these projects, what I ran into was I ran into basically a brainstorming block. Each one of them was not developed enough. And I know that now that I have a story that actually is developed and it feels different. It is a very different experience. I was actually not ready to write pretty much any of my prior projects. I did not have a full enough concept of the plot. And I think at the beginning I imagined potentially I am a pantser, and so maybe I'll just figure it out. But I actually have written a large number of first drafts. I've written a first draft for almost every one of these projects, or like vast majority of a first draft. And I know from having done that, it didn't solve my problem of not having like the core conflict and core resolution like figured out in a way that felt good. Like I slapped something on the page, but I didn't like it and I knew it was fundamentally wrong. Like I had good characters I liked. I had different aspects of maybe the world or of the story, or I like want this scene to happen or that scene to happen. Like I had that for all of them, but I didn't have the through line. And every time I cast or tried to put a through line on it, it always felt wrong. And so I don't actually think I had a fully fleshed, I didn't have a real story there, you know? I just had a bunch of set pieces that I liked and were motivating to me. But I had not figured out the story yet. So I think that jumping from project to project was okay in the sense that I moved from each project to another project where I was closer to actually having that through line, if that makes any sense. And this particular project that I am on now has a baked in through line. And actually, this maybe kind of gets back to one of the other topics we were thinking about talking about. I think what makes this project structurally easier for me to write is that I have stolen quite a bit from reality of what actually happened. So
That's
this,
true. You're basing it off
yes,
of a real case.
that is different. That is different because
Ah, that
whenever
is
I
different.
get stressed and stuck, I can just do research and figure out, well, what actually happened to this guy? And how did these different things play out? And then I can just be working on making an analog, which is much better for me. I'm much more of like an innovator than a like inventor, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
I like to have something
Okay.
to riff off of, and if I have to riff with nothing, I really struggle. So that's a
That's
very long
interesting.
answer. I'm gonna pause.
No, but it's no, but it you bring up several really good points. That's interesting. Innovator versus inventor, I think uh is fun. I might make a note of that so that we can talk about it again. Innovator, because I have
Yet another
my
topic.
notebook. I'm ready.
We are always, I mean, in this podcast, we're constantly coming up with ideas for what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah,
So no
yeah.
problem here.
We don't seem to be struggling for ideas here.
No,
Um,
no.
but I think what you're touching on, and I think I agree, is that it's not one or the other, but a spectrum, or it's not that one or the other is better. It's that they're kind of ends of a spectrum where
Yeah.
on one end you're jumping a lot, and on the other end you can't let something go. And I think neither is going to get you where you want to be
Yeah.
eventually, because you, on one side, you have to be finishing projects assuming that just the act of writing is not the end goal, assuming, which is would be totally fine, that's an absolutely valid way of writing, but assuming you want the story to go somewhere, like you either want to publish it or you want to get it to a place where you could let somebody read it or something like that. Um, and never finishing a project is not going to get you there. But similarly, never letting go of a project is also never going to get you there because you can always make it better.
Mhm.
A book is a snapshot of the type of writer and the quality or experience of writer that you are at that time.
Yeah.
And the more you write, the better you're going to get. And so you will always go back to older projects and be like, I could do this better. I could totally do this better now. And so the temptation to go back and redo and redo and redo is also not going to get me where I want to be. So
Mhm.
in the middle there somewhere is the answer. And I think I have heard the advice of course, revision is a standard piece of the writing process where you write your first draft. It's okay that it's not perfect. You should expect it not to be perfect, and revision is there to help you, in which case, going back and making it better. It doesn't have to be good, it has to be better every time you go over it. Um, that I think is good, is positive. I'm not saying that I want to get rid of revision, but also acknowledging when a project is so like you've learned what you needed from that project and you could now apply it to another idea and get yourself out of the cycle
Mhm.
and grow with another project. And I think that is equally valid. It does mean that that first one might not be the one that you share or get
Mhm.
published with or query with or something like that, and you have to be okay with that. And that part, that permission to let it sit and not go any further is the reason that I'm still working on this project because I think I can make it. I can still make it
Yeah.
something that I can take further. Um, but that doesn't mean I don't have a thousand. I do have the issue of a thousand ideas. I have
Hmm.
so many, like, when I get a shiny new idea, I have to put it down on paper as much. I just have to word vomit down. Otherwise, my brain will not let it go. And
Hmm.
so I do have to, and then it's stored. And if in a couple months, a couple years, I go back and I still think it's a good idea, then it's got legs and I can work on it. Um, but I think, somewhere between jumping around and never finishing anything, which is not where you are because you have finished drafts, and eternally revising, which I really hope is not where I am. Somewhere in there is the way to make a project as good as it can be and
Yeah.
then decide where it goes,
Yeah.
I think.
To know when to pause it. Yeah. Well, I mean, let me ask you, in the time, because you have been working on this for many years, have there been moments where you're like, maybe I should shelve this and like struggled with that and what kept you in it?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me more.
As in, um, there were times when I was like, okay, especially with feedback that I got, where I was like, oh, there are some real core structural issues here, and it will take a heap of work to make it what I want it to be. And am I willing to put the work in? And do I genuinely think it will make it better? Not just different, but better.
Yeah.
Um, and there were a moment where I teetered, but it was mostly because it was really daunting. The amount of work was really daunting. And I was like, I have so many other ideas and I have projects that other people are waiting for. So maybe I should just leave it. But I think it was being honest and saying that I was afraid of the work rather
Yeah.
than that I didn't think the project would be better. I genuinely thought I could make it better, and that's why I've kept going with it. And I feel the changes I've made now have made it so much closer to where I think it can be that if if I get it through another couple rounds of revisions, I could be ready to query it. And
Mhm.
if it then dies in the query trenches, I will be okay with it.
Yeah.
Like it will be what I needed it to be. And maybe I'll self-publish it.
Yeah.
Not to say that self-publishing is like the backup or the fallback plan, but for this project, for me, querying is what I'm aiming for.
Hmm.
But if I want it to be out there in the world just to exist, then I can always self-publish it. But yeah, it was that God, I don't want to. I really don't want to work on this anymore. But I know there's something there that I can feel that I need to. It was an emotional decision, I think, to stay in it. Um, even though I desperately wanted to get out of it.
Well, I mean, how insightful of you. Like, that's very self-aware and kind of brave in a way to be able to be honest with yourself. But this is really about, this is really coming from fear and that you are making a choice that you don't want to listen to that and you want to stick through it and see it all the way through and not let yourself get scared off from what may be a difficult process.
Thank you. Yeah, I will replay this section of this episode.
You should, you
I'm
should.
feeling.
I do really admire that. I will say something I have worried about in my like process and my journey is like, man, am I succumbing to that, to this fear? Because, in each project I have, at least temporarily shelved, um, there's theoretically more I could do to discover this plot line or to create this plot line. And maybe there was more I could have done. I think each time I made the choice, I was doing the analysis that I thought it would be easier to come up with that plot line with the next project. And maybe the easier is the operative word, maybe wrestling with those prior projects would have like taught me something that I haven't, encountered yet. But I will say now working on this project, it really is categorically different. This is the first project I am working on where I feel no fear about whether I will finish this project. All my prior projects have been almost a little scared of myself. It's like, oh, are you going to jump ship? And, I have. So there we go. But this one, I'm completely calm. I know for certain I will write this story, and I know for certain I will get it to a very good place. This project has legs. I believe in it.
Yeah.
I think it's good. And so that's something. But it also, I know it has all the core pieces that it needs. And I realized that I just never felt that way before. But so we'll see. I don't know. I have always worried that maybe I could have gotten to this feeling if I had pushed through on some of these projects. But I guess at the end of the day, everyone takes a different journey and we'll see. We'll see in a couple years how it all shakes out, if it was worth it or not.
I think there's real value in listening to your intuition on that though. Like to challenge yourself like am I just scared of the work
Yeah.
or is it something else? And if it's something else, even if you can't quite explain why, if your intuition is saying it's not the right time for this. Because like
Yeah.
you've said, you might go back to those stories once you're,
Yeah.
a couple more projects in or when you're ready. And maybe your intuition was just saying, great idea, wrong time. It's not
Yeah.
not right now. And put it aside and you learn something from it. And, bashing your head against this wall right now is
Mhm.
not going to get you where you want to go. And
Yeah.
I think there is value in listening to your intuition on that point.
Yeah. And maybe part of it's just like how my brain works and how my ability to brainstorm works. I do think I kind of reach a point where I just am dry. There's nothing more.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to
You gotta
get. And so you
refill.
have to stop. Yeah. And so either you're
Yeah.
pausing just to refill or you're working on something else. And
Yeah.
that's kind of honestly how I've seen most of my pivots. Is it because I don't necessarily think I'm giving up on the project? I do think of it as shelving. It's like, well, now I'm working on something else because I can't get past this roadblock. But then the something else becomes my main focus. So in the
Well, the
end, I end
something
up
else
fully
becomes
hopping
a prequel
always.
or something.
Open the Russian doll, and there's always another
Yeah.
one.
There's always something back there. There's always something back there. But I
Yeah.
think it's a really interesting spectrum to look at. And I do think like you can see the growth with
Mhm.
every project that we've like
Yes.
discussed and I don't think I could have written this version
Yeah.
three
If you
years
hadn't
ago.
done it. And I will say something I've been thinking about because listening to you now, and even like some of the videos I've been watching lately of folks who are working on like later drafts, and how much they've learned in the process. I do think I have continued, even though I've been jumping projects, I have continued to learn really quite a lot about story structure
Yeah,
that I probably could have taught myself if I just stayed with one story. But I do feel like I've also gotten it from my little hopping approach.
100%.
Because I'm constantly reading craft books. I'm constantly reading just books in general. And I'm constantly
Yeah.
analyzing. And I am noticing, like, even in this plot gardening experience that I'm doing, and all of really the brainstorming I've done for this particular project, I feel the instinctual pull towards like a
Yes.
natural story arc that I don't really have to think about. Like it is happening in the back of my brain because I have thought about this so much and for so long. It really is in the back of my brain. And I probably could
Yeah.
have achieved that by like being in the trenches with one project. But I think maybe just because I'm like a little bit of an academic person. Like I like to analyze things quite a bit. Like I'm
Yeah.
always analyzing things along this. I'm analyzing my own projects and other projects. And I do see that work paying off. And I couldn't have written this project I'm writing right now like five
Yeah.
years ago because I needed all that percolating time, if that makes any
Hmm.
sense. So I have still
Yeah, it
gotten
definitely
some
does.
benefits from my time.
Oh, undoubtedly, undoubtedly. And that's why there's one way is not better than the other way because you're still learning it either with iteration or with variety, and you're
Yeah.
still learning it to apply it later.
Yeah.
Um, and I think maybe the only difference is the level of obsession with a particular project. And I was
Uh,
just too obsessed to let it go.
yeah.
Whereas, there has to, I think yeah, there's just something emotional about it that made me stick with one
Yeah.
versus jump to a different one. And
Yeah.
that's not good or bad or better or
Mhm.
worse. It's just the way it shook out.
There's
But
pros and cons,
yeah,
strengths and
both of
weaknesses
us
of
are now
both sides.
writing the story as it should be.
Yes.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is
Yes.
just going to document that journey.
Yes. 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 Precisely. And I am very excited to basically be embarking on the process you've gone through now with like this project. Like I imagine this going through many drafts, and I really feel like I will be in the trenches with this for a long time. So I'm at the beginning of the journey you had.
Yeah. But at least
So
you're looking forward to it. At least
I
you're looking forward
am.
to the trenches.
Well, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed here at the start of
Bright-eyed
the
and bushy-tailed.
story.
Yeah.
We'll see
Sweet
where
summer
it
child.
goes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good point to wrap us up for this episode
I
with
agree.
your either a win of the week or something kind you've done for yourself this week as a writer.
Man, I gotta do some more homework on these before we hop on to record. What is, do
You
you
know
have
it's
a win
coming
of the
now.
week? Do you have one all locked and loaded?
I do I passed the 100,000 word mark on
Oh,
my draft.
congrats! That's awesome.
Yes, I hope. Well, considering considering how long this draft is going to be, I'm not as close to the end as I would like to be. Like I'm just
Fair.
getting into Act 4. So, but I did cross that milestone. So I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And gosh, honestly, when you get to like word counts that high and you're looking at the number, you're like, man, this is how many words I've put into this project. That's incredible.
Hmm.
Like, how many
Hmm.
papers in school was that? Like I used to
Oh
think
my
like a
goodness.
a 2,000 word essay, 5,000 word essay was so long. No.
I mean, it's longer than my PhD thesis. Like it's
Yes.
it's like twice as long as my PhD thesis. So,
That's crazy. Quite the accomplishment.
yeah.
Quite the
Yeah.
accomplishment.
No. So I'm happy about that. Hmm.
I think I had a couple of story breakthroughs in my like plot
Oh, good.
gardening process where there have been there are like I don't know like five plot problems that I have been in the back of my mind that I'm like this is big and I do have to figure this out and I'm trying to approach the problem indirectly. Um because just directly trying to answer the question does not seem to be working. And it is working. Like the indirect process is working.
Good.
Like at least one of them, I think I have fully checked off by going my little roundabout way of, picking a very specific thing in the world, building on, and being like, oh, this could be the solution. Incredible.
Lovely.
So that was
We love it.
quite a high and rewarding to feel like, oh, I really am making progress, even if it feels sort of indirect and less measurable.
It's such a good feeling too when you're like, "Oh my God, I figured it out." It
Yes.
works perfectly. It's so
And it feels
satisfying.
good
And when
and you're
it
like
when it
yeah
feels good, you know you've done it.
yeah
Like when it
yes
feels good, you're like, "Oh, that's
yeah
it."
yeah
That's a
yeah
good feeling.
yeah I'm always chasing that high. I just want the pieces to click into place.
Yeah, it is very satisfying. It's very
Yes,
satisfying.
absolutely.
Well, that about wraps us up for episode 2,
Yeah,
and we will in a few weeks' time, I suppose, see you in episode 3 of Notes from
yeah.
the Nook.
Well, while you're here, if you have any thoughts to share with us on whether you've been someone who really stick with a project for a long time, or if you've jumped around a little bit
Yes,
more like me, or anything we said resonated with you, let us know because I think it's so interesting getting different people's perspectives on so many people take different
for sure.
routes in their writing journeys.
Yeah.
So let us know what writing has looked like for you over the time that you've been doing it.
Yeah, and they're all valid. All
Oh yeah.
journeys on the writing path, or all paths on the writing journey, whichever way around, they're all valid.
We're all just learning.
We're all just learning, we're all just crawling along this path together.
Exactly. It's true.
Okay, well, we will see you next time
Alrighty.
in the Nook.
Good to see you all. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.